Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hi, I'm Rose Davidson from Talking with the Experts. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Global Glamping Charities for their valued support. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org. Do you love your podcast and dislike the editing and uploading to the various platforms? Would you like to spend this time with your family and friends or work on your business? Podcast editing doesn't have to be a chore. Talking with the Experts partners with podcasters who need help with audio and content editing. If you'd like to know more, contact me, Rose Davidson, using the link showing now or send me a private message.
Talking with the Experts.
The more technology-obsessed society becomes, the more demand for the personal touch. In episode 448, Tony Redondo explains.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing, again, one of the issues with technology and the way it actually is compared to how it's portrayed nowadays is there is online banking systems available in the USA and Canada and Australia, but they only work domestically. They don't work internationally. So if you euros need to send Australian dollars out to an Australian account in the UK, you can't do it by online. You physically have to go into the bank and ask them to do it for you. So it is doable. The problem is, of course, that as soon as you go into a bank and ask them to do something for you, there's going to be a charge involved. Mm-hmm. So there's an additional pain point.
Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today, my guest is Tony Redondo, and Tony is a returning guest, which I am pleased to announce. And today we're going to be talking about professionalism with the personal touch. Now, more and more we're becoming a technology obsessed society, and it demands more personal growth or more of a personal touch from each of us. And currency exchange services are typical of financial service these days, and even in countries like the UK, where the bank's share of the market is less than 50%, clients therefore have plenty of options to have for currency exchange. And Tony has worked in the financial services industry for over 37 years and is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Bankers. He held his senior management positions for many years for various banks and brokerages before launching Cosmos Currency Exchange in 2020. And Cosmos provides international currency payment solutions for clients. Whether you are an individual, run a charity or a business, Cosmos can help smooth the bumps on the road that can happen when you need to pay overseas bills or receive funds from overseas clients. And we discussed very similar last time, and I got a great feedback from that. And obviously people wanted to know a little bit more about it. So we might go a little bit more in depth into how Tony's business can help overseas clients, convert their currency in different markets. Tony, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Very welcome, Rose. Thank you for having me back on.
Yes, Tony and I are just killing each other with laughter before we came on because it's a balmy 3 degrees in England at the moment where he is.
Yes.
So you're having a great joke about that. Tony, tell me a little bit more about your business and what it does and how it helps others to, navigate the financial chaos that's happening.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the things that's happened since we launched Cosmos in 2020, of course, was we launched in the middle of the pandemic, and everybody goes online. So, in a way, it's never been easier for people, for businesses to have international clients, because you jump on any online networking platform, even the ones that are exclusively supposedly in the UK, and there'll be somebody in some European country, and there'll be somebody, from South Africa or the Middle East or North America or Australasia or what have you. So it's never been easy to meet people from abroad, and therefore, make those contacts, make those connections, and acquire their services. The problem is, of course, the financial services industry hasn't kept up. And the issue is that, as you quite rightly said, even where you get a country like the UK, where the bank's share of the market is less than 50%, in comparison to places like Australia or Canada or the United States, where the bank's share of the market is still over 90%, and therefore clients have a lot less options. The problem is that the whole industry has gone completely obsessed with technology. And the easiest way to sum it up is, imagine a scenario where one of my industry leaders, one of the biggest companies in currency payments in the UK, huge company, very profitable, very well backed, very clever technology, but doesn't even have a telephone number on their website. So if the client has a query, whatever that may be, simple or otherwise, the only way the client can communicate with a provider is by going onto their platform or app and going to the chatbot system, putting in their query, pressing send, and up comes the message: your business is important to us. We will endeavor to get back to you in the next 72 hours. Well, in a market, the currency markets change value every 3 seconds, night and day. So to wait 72 hours for a
really
response.
Odd. It's really odd. I've been to a few sites lately where there is no contact number, there is no email address, and to find the support button is like you have to go through about 10 pages before you can find it. And I've got a query that needs solving like yesterday, not in
precisely
whenever they have the time to. I sent a query to somebody 2 days ago and still have not heard from them, and I am so not happy.
That's right. And I did a trade for a business last week that I'd met in the early days of the business, and it's a UK branding agency that had some web development work done by a company in Poland, but got invoiced in US dollars. So they tried to use the site I was talking about, which is a big industry leader. It's on everybody's mobile phones and apps and what have you. But of course, as soon as you put in Poland as the destination country, up came the defaults. Do you want to send euros or do you want to send Polish zloty? No, they wanted to send US dollars. But people, again, one of the problems with technology is that people talk about artificial intelligence and AI and robots and this and that. And the only, to my mind, having been in the industry a very long time, there is some very advanced technology out there, but true AI only exists in Hollywood, not in real life, not just yet. And all AI is at the moment is a very quick algorithm, a very quick calculator. So somebody had programmed that as soon as a client puts in Poland, you got two defaults, A or B. Nothing else exists. And in fact, it does exist, because the truth is, Rose, that as long as that company in Poland has got a US dollar bank account to receive the dollar funds, it's not illegal to send dollars to Poland. Of course it's not, but the AI just isn't there. What you needed was a human touch. You just needed a human touch to go, are you sure? Let me have a look at the invoice. Yes, it's a dollar account. We'll get it checked out to make sure it's okay. Cut a long story short, that client had spent 10 days going around in circles trying to make this payment. 10 days. Just because you sent the chatbot message, had to wait 3 days. After 3 days, up came a message with 2 videos, neither of which actually answered the question. Now you're back to square one. And in the space of 3 hours, we got the company registered to comply with all the anti-money laundering regulations that we have to abide by. Send me a copy of the invoice. I'd stepped into the market and bought the dollars for the company. They'd sent me an online banking payment of the sterling in settlement of that trade, and the dollars were on their way to Poland. So we managed to achieve in 3 hours what the technology-only services couldn't do in 10 days. And that's a very simple scenario. And it wasn't difficult. It wasn't a complicated transaction. It just needed that human touch of saying, okay, is this possible? Is this legal? Is this compliant? And go from there, rather than this tick box exercise of technology only.
Yes, and I love the way that your business organises, the transfer of the money, because we were talking last time about Canada and the US. You can send US dollars, but they can't send money out of the country unless they have a third party. Is that right? Is that how I'm remembering?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So the thing, again, one of the issues with technology and the way it actually is compared to how it's portrayed nowadays is there is online banking systems available in the USA and Canada and Australia, but they only work domestically. They don't work internationally. So if euros need to send Australian dollars out to an Australian account in the UK, you can't do it by online. You physically have to go into the bank and ask them to do it for you. So it is doable. The problem is, of course, that as soon as you go into a bank and ask them to do something for you, there's going to be a charge involved. Mm-hmm. So there's an additional pain point. So one of the things, again, we've tried to do at Cosmos is to have local collection accounts. At the moment, we've got 3. We've got a US dollar account in New York, a Canadian account in Calgary in Alberta, and a Euro account in Frankfurt in Germany, so that clients in the USA, Canada, and the European Union don't physically have to go into the bank and ask them to do the transfers. They can do online payments, so it's more convenient and cheaper. We're working on an Australian account, Rose. Should be ready in the next 3 months or so.
Wonderful. That's excellent. Because I know a lot of businesses trade in US dollars as a rule. I mean, in Australia, most of the companies that I deal in US dollars, and it's really hard when you're trying to make a payment to an Australian company and they are charging US dollars, even though you're buying in Australia from an Australian business. Right. And that really annoys me, because then you're actually paying more for the goods than is necessary. And I don't particularly like that. I have often thought about selling in US dollars, but I'm an Australian business and most of my clients will be Australian. So I'm not going to rip them off for money when it's unnecessary. And so I advertise in Australian dollars. And if I by chance get an overseas client, well, then they will pay less. Basically, that's the
exactly right
bonus for them. So, to me, it's as long as I get my, $5, whatever it cost, whether it be Australian or not, then I'm happy. So. Yeah. And I think,
but it's also the complication and additional costs for yourself, as a business. Obviously you've got plenty to do. There's only 24 hours a day. You don't really want to spend hours and hours and hours and hours trying to work out exchange rates and what to bill them in and what have you. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is, yes, you can go along to your Australian bank, like a British company can go along to their UK bank and ask to open up a US dollar account and a Euro account and a sterling account and a so account and that account. And it's all available these days in mature economies like Australia and the UK. But again, somebody's providing their service to have those accounts, so they're going to charge you for it. So that's even more banking costs. Your accountant's not going to be very happy with you, because all of a sudden they've got 5 or 6 bank statements coming in 5 or 6 different currencies and having to reconcile the whole lot. So the whole thing just gets super complicated. And of course, the more complicated things are, the more expensive things are. So the way that we look at it at Cosmos again is, look, Rose, we're the currency broker, not you. You run your business. Let me run mine. Let's work together. Let's collaborate together. I've got access to over 35 currency accounts. So rather than you going out and opening 35 currency accounts and duplicating my work, no, all you need to do is register with me. I then give you access to 35 currency accounts, including the free local collection account. So now, when you meet somebody in the United States, you don't have to go and open up your own dollar account. You just use mine.
Mm.
And it's just making life easier for clients should enable you to keep hold of those clients. Everybody talks about winning clients, and of course that's important, but actually I think keeping them is even more important, because the relationship is already there. If you can nurture it and get them into a long term, and one of the easy ways of nurturing clients I've always found is to make life as simple as possible for them.
Oh, that's
So
the
now,
idea of life, isn't it? To make
absolutely,
to make it seamless for your clients, so that because they have enough to do as well.
Absolutely.
They've got their
Exactly.
own businesses normally, and they don't want to be mucking about with currency and working out how stuff costs.
Yeah, exactly. I've had so many conversations since starting Cosmos with businesses that have said to me, oh yes, I met somebody and they were in the States, or they're in Canada or South Africa or wherever they happen to be, and they loved our products. And in fact, they said it was a better product than the local competition. It was more cost competitive, but they don't really use us that much. If it's a better product and it's a better price, why don't they use you? Oh, because getting the dollars into our account in the UK or into our account in Germany or what have you is such a pain for them, because every time there's a payment to be made, they have to stop what they're doing, get in a car, drive to the bank, fill out forms, pay charges. Is such a nuisance. That again, one of the things that we try and help with is, no, let's keep nice and simple. You're not a currency broker, we are. So you just register with us. That gives you access to all these currency accounts. Whatever you need in your business, just let us know, and we will try and help out. And where possible, we'll even make it as simple as possible for your clients to pay you by allowing them to pay locally by online banking, so they save all those trips to the bank and all those additional charges.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Tony, where can people get in touch with you? I mean, I know you've got it on your screen behind you, and they will be in the show notes, but just for those that would, can't read as well as others, perhaps you could tell us how people can get in touch with you to work with you, or to find out more about how your business works.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rose. So the website URL is www.cosmoscurrencyexchange.com. You can email me directly, Tony Redondo, that's REDONDO, at cosmoscurrencyexchange.com. And for those of you who can ring the UK without too much hassle and cost, it's a UK number 0300 124 6409.
Perfect. Tony, again, such a pleasure to see you again, and thank you so much for joining me on explaining to us about how this currency exchange works and how it can benefit businesses. And I'm sure that our listeners would be more than happy to be in touch with you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Lovely to see you again.
You too. Bye, Tony.
Bye.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.